Rick Grimes is arguably the greatest leader in the entire Walking Dead universe, and having overseen several prominent communities, he could be about to take over his biggest one yet, according to one ambitious theory. After The Ones Who Live's ending, it is unclear if Rick will return to the franchise since he essentially got his perfect conclusion. Not only did he escape the CRM and bring peace to the Civic Republic, but he was able to reunite with his family, and his final scene indicated that he would settle down in either Alexandria or the Commonwealth. However, while The Walking Dead's protagonist has earned some well-deserved peace, it's hard to imagine he'll ever find that in America. The country is filled with dangerous factions fighting for supplies, and despite Rick having an alliance with the CRM, both the Commonwealth and Alexandria remain somewhat vulnerable targets. Luckily, the United Kingdom's fall in The Walking Dead presents the chance to create a new home, one that won't be threatened by unhinged survivors looking to cause trouble every chance they get. England is an empty country filled with resources in The Walking Dead. Norman Reedus as Daryl and Melissa McBride as Carol walking through London and passing an abandoned bus in The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon Season 3. With Carol and Daryl traveling through Europe in The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, the duo has collectively explored numerous countries, such as France, Spain, and Greenland, yet it was their stop in the UK that had the most potential. Whereas Spain and France still had plenty of evil groups, England was incredibly quiet, mainly because the dead ruled the country. On paper, this undoubtedly seems like a bad thing, as trying to navigate an unfamiliar environment filled with walkers sounds extremely difficult. However, with England having no survivors in the Walking Dead universe, at least according to Julian, it is actually the perfect place to set up camp and call home, since there is no one to disrupt the peace. Greenland appears to be in a similar position, but whereas the country lacks resources, England was a highly populated territory before things collapsed, meaning there should still be tons of supplies scattered across various cities, making it a great location to repopulate and fortify. The main survivors have an abundance of experience when it comes to dealing with walkers, and if some of the central characters move to England, they could surely set up safe zones without too much hassle. Therefore, as long as no one turned on the group, England has all the potential to be a great new community for Rick and his followers. How Rick Grimes could turn England into another allied community. Rick Grimes, Andrew Lincoln, with a beard and disheveled hair, frowning, on The Walking Dead. While the idea of Rick moving to England alongside the other main characters may seem far-fetched, it's not impossible, but even if he doesn't, he could send some trusted allies to try and stabilize the unpopulated country. First things first, the traveling group would have to clear out a small area, making sure to dispatch any lingering zombies. Then, the team would need to lock down the vicinity, build walls, and gather resources to establish a proper community, making the location they chose especially important. Over time, this English settlement would continue expanding and grow larger, both in terms of size and population, potentially offering a home for any of Daryl's European allies looking for a fresh start. Although Rick isn't the CRM's leader in The Walking Dead, the Civic Republic's technology could be used to travel back and forth from England while giving them more than enough materials to get things up and running. Likewise, the CRM's trained soldiers could help set up a secure base in England, while CR residents could also be given permission to move there. Even if it proved difficult, Rick's powerful allies and influential leadership make it entirely possible that he could make this strategy work and create a new friendly community halfway across the world, giving the franchise room to explore the UK in more depth and offering new surroundings for the main cast if they chose to visit. Populating England would surely make Rick's Commonwealth alliance unbeatable. Rick Grimes hearing a speech with the squad in The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live. If Rick and the others did manage to successfully populate England and set up a thriving community, it would make the Commonwealth Alliance the strongest Walking Dead group yet. The Commonwealth alone is already one of the largest settlements seen in the franchise, with places like Alexandria and the Bricks making this alliance extremely influential. Throwing the Civic Republic into the mix further cemented how unbeatable these associated groups were, but if they also added a community overseas to their union, no one could stop them. They'd have far too many people and resources for any antagonists to beat them in a proper battle, especially since their power would extend across the globe. Given that the UK initially survived The Walking Dead's outbreak, there is no telling what riches are still around that could help their allies in America, and assuming they manage to trade and communicate effectively, this alliance could continue expanding across Europe and beyond, emphasizing just how important a settlement in the UK could be for the world's future. Daryl Dixon's actions in France and Spain may trigger a war with Rick's group. Norman Reedus as Daryl Dixon with a gun on his back standing on a mountain in The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon Season 3. Despite England being a relatively smart location to rebuild, Daryl Dixon's actions in Europe could potentially cause problems for Rick's settlement in the UK. Although he made some valuable allies in France and helped take down some major villains, what remains of El Union and Pouvoir will still detest Daryl for the trouble he caused during his stay. Likewise, Daryl Dixon Season 3's Spanish villains look bound to clash with the spin-off's protagonist, with some members of Solas Del Mar already turning on the American despite the town being relatively neutral. Assuming he continues to frustrate some European factions, it could spell trouble for the new community in England, especially if these other groups band together.